targets that really frightened the Israelis, because I think the Israelis were not aware that the Iranians knew as much as they do about Israel and its military complex, and I think they were frightened by the sudden penetration that could not be halted. I think it's one of the reasons that you saw this clip of President or Prime Minister Netanyahu, who was actually shaking as he read his speech. I think the whole experience frightened him. He's obviously recovered from his shakes, and now I think he's pressing ahead to throw everything he's got against Iran in the hopes that he can do so much damage that Iran won't be able to strike back. I think that's unlikely, and also because he thinks he's going to destabilize the Iranian regime.
Does the IDF have the ability to reach Iran without refueling? Do they have missiles that can travel the same distance that the Iranian missiles can travel?
I suspect they do. The question is how many? I don't know. They are primarily reliant on their air power. And you're right. For them to launch a significant airstrike, they need air refueling support. Right now, I think we've got at least 80 to 90% of all the air refueling assets in the U.S. Air Force in the region. So I'm sure that we'll support them with air refueling. They had planned earlier to land in Azerbaijan and then launch their strikes from there. But I think the Azeri Turks have said, nope, that can't be done under the current circumstances.
Colonel, a year after October 7th, is Israel stronger and more stable, weaker and less stable, or something in between?
No, I think we have to understand a couple of things. Large numbers of Israelis have left the place. One wonders if they'll ever return. They may not. So I think we have to accept the very high probability that Israel is dramatically weaker. They're entirely dependent upon billions of dollars from the United States to keep them afloat economically, entirely dependent upon us for ammunition and weapon system support. This is why you hear people repeatedly saying that we are complicit in the various atrocities which the Israelis have committed in the name of defense.
We are complicit. We have financed those atrocities, and there doesn't seem to be relief in sight, no matter who wins the election in November.
Oh, I think that's true. I would say there is a difference, though, between Ukraine and the United States, or
Yes.
Ukraine and Israel. Ukraine really has been a stalking horse for the neocons in Washington, the fools that thought they could pulverize Russia into submission. And I think the CIA and MI6 are continuing to run the show in Kiev. I think we're going to see some more deep strikes. There have been lots of ISR flights from private or civilian aircraft who are contracted normally with JSOC in the United States, and they've been flying back and forth along the edge of Russia in order to gather data. I think we're going to see more of that. And so if anybody in Washington tells you, well, we've told the Ukrainians not to do this, well, they may say that publicly, but privately, the CIA and MI6 are in charge, and they have carte blanche to do pretty much whatever they want, short of a nuclear strike. Now, when you go to the Middle East, it's an entirely different set of circumstances. Mr. Netanyahu is very definitely in charge. We are not. And it's clear that we are not, because you've heard all of these pleas either leaked or stated publicly to the Israelis, asking them not to hit this or that target array. I don't think Mr. Netanyahu gives a damn what anybody tells him in Washington right now, because he controls everything. He controls the Hill. That's vital. So nobody from the Senate or the House is going to stand up and restrain him from doing anything. And he's got control, for all intents and purposes, of most of the U.S. armed forces. Now, there may be some out there who think that we will only engage if Israel is the subject of attack. We will see. But I think we're going to have to support the Israelis in their attack on Iran, or the Israelis might as well write it off.
Does Netanyahu face any chance of the spigot being turned off if he continues to thumb his nose at the White House?
It's doubtful, as you pointed out, because their assumption is if for some reason they have to pause and not ratchet up the intensity of the war, then it's only temporary, because if President Trump wins, they are confident that he will come in and give them 100% support to do whatever they want.